My name is Chris Rumore. I'm a partner in the property section at Colin Biggers Paisley. I work out of the Sydney office. I've been with the firm for 44 years, and I'd have to say that being involved in this project is certainly one of the most challenging, humbling and different experiences in my legal career. Artists in the Black's a project run by the Arts Law Centre of Australia, which is based in Sydney. Basically, their purpose is to help indigenous people who otherwise wouldn't have access to legal assistance and legal advice. We went to the Northern Territory. We were there for 7 days. We were based in Alice Springs. The majority of the time was spent with will drafting, advising us to issues with respect to family disputes over artworks and royalties, particularly in relation to deceased artists, dealing with issues for individual art centres, such as whether the artists were employees or contractors, regulatory requirements, GST issues, vetting some of their supply contracts and the contracts that they have with major art centres in capital cities. So it was a very broad variety of work, and I think the advice was very well accepted and very gratefully accepted by people who otherwise wouldn't have access to it. This sort of hands-on project gives people a broader horizon of how legal services really affect people in their own environment. I think it also is a very humbling experience. These people were very grateful for the time that we spent, and it also gave me an opportunity personally to witness how Indigenous people really try and better themselves in a fairly hostile environment and in circumstances where it's fairly difficult, particularly from an economic perspective. There's very little money to fund these sorts of projects. They do want to make a contribution. They do want to keep their culture alive through their art. It really is something that we should be encouraged to assist them with, because it's a worthwhile endeavour and it certainly gives them a lot of self-esteem and a feeling of self-worth and contribution. This sort of special purpose pro bono project is very important, not only because it helps Indigenous people, but it also helps us really add value to associations that we partner with. So the Arts Law Centre, I think, derives a real practical hands-on benefit from having us assist in this sort of project. This sort of endeavour shows in a really practical and stark way how our pro bono efforts make a difference. If you're working on a file and you're just communicating with the client or the referring body by email, it's all a bit impersonal, just like any other legal matter. This sort of matter and this sort of involvement really brings home personally how much of a difference you can make and how much of a difference our efforts through the foundation are making to the lives of those that are less fortunate than ourselves.